Hello and welcome. In this session we'll recreate the 4 circles and arcs on the left hand side and construct them on the right hand side. The origin, our x0, y0, z0, is positioned at the center of this grid on the right hand side. For the example on the left, the origin is simulated here at the intersection of these 2 lines. Now let's review the circles and arcs on the left hand side and find out what we know about these entities. The circle I have highlighted at the moment has a diameter of 1, and we also know the center point in x and y. The x value is 1 and the y value is 1.75. Moving over to the left, this next circle has a radius of 1, and we also know the center point. In x it's negative 1.25 and the y at the center is 0.75. Down below we have 2 arcs which have a radius of 0.25. These arcs also pass through the endpoints of this arc and this arc. Now the first circle that we're going to create is this circle with a diameter of 1 inch. So let's move up into Create, Arc, and from this list I'm going to select Create Circle Center Point. Now up on the ribbon bar, the first thing I'm going to do is click in the white section for diameter and type in 1.0, enter. Now the prompt on the screen, enter the center point. I already have a point constructed at the center point, so I'm just going to move on down and click on it. And there's our first circle. Now, before we move on, let's review the circle center point ribbon bar. Over on this left, this button allows us to edit the center point. Just over to the right, we have the section for radius, and then next along is diameter. Next, this button will allow us to create arcs that are tangent to other entities. Next is the apply button and OK, and at the very end the question mark where we can gain access to help. What I'm going to do is click on OK, and there's our first circle. But what I'm going to do now is move up and click on undo. I'm going to recreate this last circle in a slightly different way. What I'm doing right now is just hovering over the Sketcher toolbar, and if I open up this drop down, we saw this list earlier on. What I'm going to do is pick Create Circle Center Point, just like we did before. I'm going to move on up, click in the white space for diameter, type in 1.0, enter. Now instead of just picking on this point, what I'm going to do now is up on the Order Cursor ribbon bar, I'm going to select Fast Point, and what I'm going to do now is enter the x and y values at the center of this circle. So the x is 1, so I'm going to type in 1, comma, and the y value is 1.75, and then hit enter. I'm going to move on up now. We're finished here. I'm going to pick OK. Now let's move over to the left. Our next circle has a 1 inch radius, and we also know the center point. So up on the toolbar, I'm going to click on this icon for Create Circle Center Point. Now the first thing I'm going to do is set up the radius. I'm going to click in the white section for radius and type in 1.0, enter. And for the center point, I'm going to move on down and pick this point. Everything looks good. Let's move on up and pick OK. Now for the 2 arcs at the lower part of the screen, I'm going to use Arc Endpoints. So let's open up this drop down, and I'm going to select Create Arc Endpoints. Now the first thing I'd like to do is set up the radius. So I'm going to click in the white section for radius and it's 0.25, and I'm also going to click on this radius button to lock it in. As you can see, it's turned red. Now let's check out this prompt. Enter the first point. So I'm going to move on down, and as you can see, there's a visual cue there that I'm going to snap to the end point of this arc. That's exactly what I want. I'm going to click on it. Now the next prompt, enter the second point. I'm going to move on down and pick this end point. Now check out the prompt. Select an arc. Watch as I move over. There's one arc, there's the other. So which one do I want? I'm going to pick on this one at the top. I'm going to move up to the ribbon bar and hit apply. Now let's create the other arc on the right hand side. So first point, I'm going to pick, as you can see, our radius is locked in, and for the second point I'm going to pick the end point of this arc. Again, we have this prompt, select an arc. Which one do we want? I'm going to move over. As you can see, it's highlighted in white. I'm going to pick this arc. I'm done here, so I'm going to move on up to the ribbon bar and pick OK. Now that completes this session on creating arcs and circles. Thanks for watching.